Did you know that 71% of the people that watch Matthew Kelly's videos are not subscribers? That makes no sense. We need to change that. Subscribe today. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and turn on those notifications so you never miss out on another great video ever again.
We hear the story of the woman at the well. It's another one of these great stories. There's just so much to it. We could talk about this one story every day for 40 days. Each of these stories provides sort of a mini gospel. And they provide a mini gospel through the journey, very often the journey of the individual. The first lesson always is, who does Jesus choose? And he chooses the people that we would almost never choose. The rock stars of the gospel are people from the fringes of society, and in this case, he takes a woman from Samaria, married, divorced 5-6 times, takes her from the very fringes of society and places her right at the center of the gospel. And it's interesting, if you read between the lines, we sort of see this journey that this woman takes in really 3 days. We're told that Jesus stays there for a couple of days. So 2 or 3 days, she takes this great journey with Jesus. When Jesus shows up at the well, she's got this attitude of like, what are you doing here? So she ignores him. And many people, when they first encounter God, they sort of ignore him, right? And then Jesus engages her, tries to engage her. She's very standoffish. Very often when God tries to engage us, we're very standoffish. And Jesus asks her for, some water. And she's like, well, you don't have a bucket. And he says, well, I'll give you water, different type of water. She's like, well, where are you going to get that from? Again, don't have a bucket. And so she goes from ignoring him to being standoffish, to being curious, to being skeptical. Okay, where are you going to get this living water from? You tell me if I have this living water, then I won't never be thirsty ever again. Where are you going to get that living water from, and you don't even have a bucket? And of course, here in this particular part of her journey, we see very clearly that she's trying to apply human thinking to a spiritual reality, that she's trying to materialize a spiritual reality, when the reality is that Jesus' water doesn't need a bucket, or the water that Jesus is talking about doesn't need a bucket. And so she goes from ignoring him to being standoffish to this curiosity, to this skepticism. It's like, how are you going to do that? And then he tells her about her life. And that, of course, captures her imagination. That intrigues her. It's like, hold on a minute. This guy just showed up in town, and he knows about me, and he knows about my life. And at that point, she calls him a prophet, which in and of itself is a profession of faith, a minor profession of faith, because she acknowledges, okay, you've got a gift, you're a prophet, you've been sent by God. And then she goes to her friends, to her family, to the village and says, hey, come and check this guy out. He told me all about my life. And as the people encounter him, as the people react to him, they then begin to refer to him as the Messiah. And so in this one reading, we see this whole journey from ignoring God to being standoffish with God, to being curious about God, to being skeptical about God, to believing in God, and of course to being open to God's ways and God's plans. And so much is accomplished in so short a time in this one story in the Bible. And this, of course, is just one way to look at it. Just one way to look at it.